All right, today we're going to learn how to paint these lily pads. All right, the question of the day is, who is Vincent van Gogh? All right, let's run through the colors. Quin red, pearly orange, Van Dyke brown, Guinea yellow, primary yellow, Quin blue, primary cyan, phthalo green, titanium white, Mars black. All right, today we're gonna do a lily pond. Initial layers in, we've kind of sketched in the background here with kind of the general shapes, and we've got the general color. So now we need to tighten it up, get a really dark kind of pond here going, as well as clean up these kind of areas so they look a lot cleaner. So we'll see how that goes next layer. So Vincent van Gogh, obviously pretty famous. I don't think anyone on the planet has not heard of him. So he started out, life was kind of a bourgeoisie family, so upper middle class, doing well. His brother obviously got into art dealing, and he was also an art dealer early on, and then he transferred to London to be an art dealer there. Didn't really like it, decided to become a pastor. That didn't work out, and then later he decided to dedicate himself to painting, which he really didn't discover, I think, until his mid-20s or so. He really was a late bloomer as far as a painter. And he really had kind of like psychotic episodes, which obviously in the end, he cut off his ear when he had a breakout with Gauguin, who was a friend of his who was painting in the south of France, where he got really a lot of his really inspirational work for fields and sunflowers and haystacks. And so, that kind of was one of the factors going into it. He shot himself with a revolver in the chest, which is kind of unbelievable. There's a lot of suggestion that maybe he was shot because he was such a great painter. No one wants to believe that he would kill himself. But this is kind of common in artists when they suffer through a lot of poverty, which Van Gogh really had no success in his lifetime. He sold one painting. He painted over 2,000 paintings, so it's just like outrageous that he didn't really succeed. But if you think about it, he moved away from the art market at the time, which was Paris. he made himself crazier and crazier with a lack of success. So he kind of created that barrier between him and the art public as well as the gallery. So he kind of had, he had his brother buying the work, or not buying the work, but trying to sell the work and supporting him. So he had kind of a financial support, but you know, that's not really a great way to live and not really good for the mental condition. And being in the south of France, it's very inspirational landscape wise, but then no one's a painter out there, no one understands it, everyone thinks you're crazy. And so if you have the whole townspeople calling you crazy all the time, it's like, yeah, you're probably not going to be the best sort of mind. It did lead to some of the best definitions of Impressionism at the time, obviously paired with Monet. And yeah, he just really laid the groundwork for Impressionism and Post-Impressionism in his lifetime. He died really early at 37, so he only really painted probably 10, 15 years, so really short time frame to paint 2,000 paintings. Most of it, 800 of those paintings were done in the last, I think, 2 years of his life, so he really was cranking them out at the end of his life. And you know, that's when he really broke out into the bright colors that we are just known for, the oranges, the purples, these really kind of screaming almost Fauvist colors that later led to Fauvism. You could almost say he's the, you know, birth father of Fauvism in a way, because that came later and it was based on these really intense color combinations that were unrealistic. And Van Gogh was still kind of painting realism, but the colors were getting more exaggerated, more bright, more intense. And his earlier work really doesn't show that. They're really kind of muddy colors, dark, grungy subjects. He's kind of dabbling in the paint. You can tell he just doesn't know. He doesn't feel comfortable with the paint range. Obviously, color paints are going to be way more expensive than the browns and blacks and whites that he's kind of painting with. So it just took him a while to kind of grow in that as an artist into those colors. He started really late, obviously. So yeah, that's kind of the life of Van Gogh. All right, we just finished the painting. Let's take a closer look. So we have this really dark background for the water. It's very murky, you could say, with these kind of purple, rosy kind of lily pads with the obviously the green stalks kind of popping through there. And at the bottom we have kind of lime green lily pads. This is taken with a photograph. I don't know if they probably altered it to make it these crazy colors. Obviously it's taking off of kind of Monet's original lily pads. And if you don't know, he kind of was losing his sight at the end of his life, so he couldn't really make out the colors. He knew them in his head, what these colors should mix as, but he didn't see them that way. So he was mixing these colors in these really crazy interpretation of the water lilies, which he was painting over and over again. So it's really interesting. This is kind of that kind of same feel to it with these purple water lilies, which is completely unrealistic probably for water lilies. I think they're just green to brown. So I think it's really fun because it really makes that pops, you know, with the green standing against the purple. I might have wanted to stick one of those yellow flowers up higher to kind of pull the interest through the painting, but I think it's okay as is. Hopefully you guys like it. Give me a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And if you want to see the full version, check my Patreon account. I'll see you on the next painting video, guys. Thanks.